everybody, and greetings from the south bank of the River Thames here in London, England. Legend and Molly, we're here. We're going to show off and talk about some of the, there's a great grouping of attractions here on the south bank, all run by the Merlin company. You got some stuff over here that is not Merlin, like this awesome star flyer where you go like about almost 200 feet into the sky. That's not Merlin, that's somebody else. But that's £7.50 if you want to know how much that is. But we're here to talk about the Merlin stuff and sort of the big iconic, because I'm pretty sure that's only a temporary attraction, the star flyer. But there's 4 big attractions here on the South Bank. And first up, and obviously the most iconic, is the London Eye, now sponsored by Coca-Cola. So it's the Coca-Cola London Eye. And this is a cool ride. Obviously you get an incredible view of the city. And it got so many different cool things here. First, if you've never been on one of these giant observation wheels, and one of the really big ones, like this one, or the one in Vegas, the pods you ride in are so cool. You get a view like this, where you can walk all the way around, glass on every side. You can see below you, you can see above you. And then from a nerd standpoint, my background's in engineering, so I love the way this thing was designed, because you can see the wheel is just hanging up there, and there's really no supports on this side of the wheel. So over here is where you get all the supports for the wheel, and it's so neat, and really just an engineering marvel, because I believe it's about 400 feet in the air, and it's held up by, let me see if I can get a good shot. Here's how it's, the whole thing is supported really on one side by these giant support beams here, and then these super industrial strength cables there. Some of the most intense cables I've ever seen, you know, used for major projects like something like this, or a suspension bridge in a major city. But it's a really incredible structure from that kind of standpoint. And the view you get from up top, really, really neat. It is, it's awesome. It's you know, one of the most iconic London tourist attractions, absolutely. And become, even though it's not too old, as opposed to most of the stuff in this city is, you know, hundreds of years old, it's really quickly become one of the icons of the cities too, and one of the things you point out on the skyline. Now, we are here on a beautiful day, absolutely beautiful day. You can see nothing but blue skies. There's not a cloud in the sky, which is not the most common thing here in London. And as you could imagine, that when it's this nice out, everyone wants to go on the giant observation wheel.
So you can see farther.
So you can see farther, because so many days it's raining or it's murky and that kind of thing. And that results in lines like this. And more. That is, that's not all. That's just how much line they could fit over here. You see the line continues as we wander that way. Yeah, in between the giant supports that I have my nerdgasm over. You know, the line actually starts somewhere over there. So it is a very, very long line. I don't think they give like an estimated wait time, but it has to be, you know, an hour, hour and a half, and you're in the direct sun, so this is brutal.
I remember coming here back in 2004, so whenever it was newer, and we waited about an hour and 15.
Yeah. Now,
but I've seen it completely 100% full.
Yeah. But, you know, Merlin runs theme parks, and then they know how to make money. So just like in most theme parks, they have a fast track entrance. Just like a fast pass, quick queue, all that, you could get it. You could get right on the London Eye if you want to pay a little bit more. To get on fast track wise, it is £10, which is not bad. If the line's long and you could afford it, definitely do that. Also, if you have the premium Merlin annual pass, as me and Molly do, you get right on the ride, which is very, very nice as well. Because trust me, I do not want to wait an hour and a half in the sun with a whole bunch of tourists and screaming kids. That sounds like the worst thing in the world. Pay the £10 and get right on. Little gift shop too. And that's the London Eye. And now we're going to take you for a nice ride on the London Eye in about, going the full 30-minute ride in about 30 seconds or so. So we'll see you on the other side of that. So we're now here, we're just right on the other side of the eyes right there. Right here we have the London Dungeon, which is the first of the big Merlin attractions. And this, well, you might think it's going to be a haunted house. It is not. It's more like a walk-through play. And it's really kind of the history of London and some of the creepier stuff, like the London Fire, Jack the Ripper, Sweeney Todd, things like that, the Plague. And it's very different, very unique, and it's a long attraction too. It does take about an hour and a half to go through the whole thing as I walk into a fence. All right, we're gonna keep up the pace. And about an hour and a half to go through the whole thing. But it is, it's very cool, very unique, and for me, I'm a huge fan of rides and stuff like that. This thing actually has 2 rides, and which is kind of just an engineering marvel, is that here in this giant old London beautiful building, you find a log flume ride and you find a drop ride, and I just think that's the coolest thing in the world. They also update the exhibits every once in a while. Like right now, they're promoting the Great Fire of London. This is one of their newer exhibits, and it's really kind of neat. You go through about 10 or 13 different show scenes. I guess that's what you would call them, where you have an actor come and they kind of talk to you, and it's really kind of neat. I dig it a lot. Unfortunately, I had been to the one in San Francisco before that, and there is some crossover. If you've been on one dungeon, then some things will repeat themselves. Some things will be similar, some things will be different, some things will be completely not what you've seen in the other one. But overall, that I get gives a big thumbs up. And what's really cool about this, as a guy who likes to drink, it ends in the London Dungeon Tavern, and you get a free beer or gin cocktail. So that's a big.
Or apple juice. Or
apple juice if you don't drink. That's true. And so that was a nice way to end the experience there. And I like that a lot. That is, it's especially as a fan of theming and theme parks and themed entertainment, that is probably my favorite out of the group. Molly, what were your thoughts on the London Dungeon?
I liked it for the most part. I loved how there is 2 rides in there. That's definitely impressive that you fit 2 rides. I did not expect them to be that long nor there.
Yeah, there's a boat ride in the San Francisco one, and it is a joke. It's the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen. This one, you get a legit ride, and it's cool.
However, I feel like they put way too many people in there, so it ruins the experience.
Absolutely.
You could not see everything.
Yeah, like you were in there with groups of about 40 people, and it really needed to be about groups of 25 because it was just crowding, and there were rude tourists kind of pushing to the front, and it did not make for that pleasurable of a thing. I understand that you got to make money and put as many people through as possible, but it does hurt the experience.
I like Shrek's better.
You like Shrek's better, and that's what's up next. Over here, you have Shrek's Adventure, which we just talked about how the dungeon is sort of this interactive theater experience. This is the same kind of idea, except for children. You see, where you had the dungeon goes into the creepiness and the some of the wild, wonky, dark past of London. This one takes you on an adventure with Shrek, very much in the same idea, where you go through and you go to different scenes. So you'll go see Pinocchio, and you'll go see Shrek, and you go to different things, and it's interactive.
The Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man, and there's a lot of cool technology. This is a newer one. This opened last year. Great 3D movie ride at the beginning. You get to meet DreamWorks characters, which is good too. And this is neat. It was very different. It felt new. It really did. And
I like how it ended it with photo ops. Very good for kids.
Yeah, this is
families.
If you have a kid or kids or families, this is what I would say would probably be the best one for the kids and families. And it was neat. It's very different. So I enjoyed it as an adult. One thing, if you are coming to London and you have a couple days, try and, if you want to do both Shrek and the dungeons, try and do it on separate days, because they are similar type experiences where you go in a room and some storyteller goes through a scene. So, and Shrek is a little bit over an hour long, and the dungeon is like an hour and a half long. So that's a lot of very similar entertainment. So if you want to do this and that, I would try and break it up. But it's very cute, very different, because there's a bunch of dungeons around the country and the world, but there's only one Shrek's Adventure, and that's right here on the South Bank. Let's walk a little bit more and get into the last and final stop on the South Bank, and that's going to be the SeaLife Aquarium. Now, me and Molly did a full walkthrough kind of thing, showing off the SeaLife Aquarium and all its different fish and exhibit and that kind of thing. And if you want to see that, click on the link above. But SeaLife, it's an aquarium if your kids in it. The thing about SeaLife, there's good and bad. The good is that they have a great selection of fish, and they've got some innovative tank designs, and they've got some really well-themed stuff in there. The parts of it are fantastic. The bad, much like with the dungeon, there's way too many people in there. I mean, you look around, there are a lot of people here today. And unfortunately, when you're in an aquarium, And I like aquariums to be slower. Like when you're in an aquarium and there's not a lot of people there, I think it to be one of the most relaxing and cool experiences you could be. Aquarium with a million screaming kids is headache-inducing city.
Well, the fact is that you're in a line. You're in a queue for half of it.
Yeah, essentially.
You're literally
you just
in a
don't
line,
move. Yep.
just walking past tanks.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a downer there. But again, it's got good and bad. But then they got great exhibits. Like I love the penguin exhibit with the penguin pop-up kind of thing. And, you know, it's definitely worth seeing. Now,
And it's much longer.
Much longer than I thought, yeah, because we've been on some of the SeaLifes at like Legoland, California. We've been to the one at the Mall of America, and this is much longer and much better than those. The other big attraction in town run by the Merlin Group is the Madame Tussauds. And I know what you're thinking, probably Wax Museum, that's stupid. Well, this one is a little bit more than just that because it features a great, about 5-minute long dark ride in like an Omni-movie style vehicle that's designed as a London taxi cab. And a Marvel 3D movie and a great Star Wars thing. So it's a little bit a notch above your normal Madame Tussauds that you would see anywhere. So that's some of the attractions here on the South Bank, and they're expensive. I will tell you that, man. We have the Merlin annual pass because we knew we wanted to do a bunch of these, but they are not cheap. If you want to do like the 4 that are right here, Shrek, Dungeon, the London Eye, and SeaLife, it'll set you back about 50 pounds.
And it takes a whole day. We did SeaLife, Shrek, and Dungeon all in the same day, and we got here at 10:30, and we didn't leave until 5.
Yeah, but also that was a rainy day on our vacation, and those great rainy days activities. Like a lot of things in London, they do close down early, though. You know, a lot of these attractions will shutter by 6 in the evening, except for the Eye, which will stay open a little bit later.
And you do need a return time.
Yeah, and some of them you need to book these things in advance, even for the aquarium, and then definitely for Shrek and the Dungeon, depending on how busy it is. You might get here and say, ooh, I want to go in the Dungeon, and they say, oh, we're sold out today, or your next available time is 4 hours from now. So definitely do your planning and try and book in advance if possible. All right, Molly, we've got Madame Tussauds, SeaLife, Shrek, and the Eye. What do you think? Rank them from worst to best.
Shrek, because it's unusual.
Is your favorite?
Is my favorite.
All right.
The London Eye, because, well, it's iconic, and you get a beautiful view of the city. And then Dungeon.
Dungeon third?
Third. SeaLife, just because you're in a queue for the entire time.
Look at that helicopter.
And then last but not least, Madame Tussauds. I like the ride, however, I think wax figures are creepy.
Yeah, you were kind of creeped out by there.
I hate wax figures.
Yeah, Madame Tussauds would not be for you if you hate wax figures. For me, the Dungeon was number 1. 2 rides, really cool theme story, and free beer, so that's my favorite. Probably Shrek as number 2, just because it's very different and I haven't been on anything like that. Oh man, this is tough here, number 3. I know SeaLife is my least favorite, just because it's a cool aquarium, but they put way too many people in there, and that's definitely my least favorite. Now, 3rd or 4th, let's just put a tie for 3rd between the Eye and the Madame Tussauds, because well, the rest of Madame Tussauds I didn't care for, except for the Star Wars stuff. Oh, that was awesome, and the ride was phenomenal. The ride was such like if they had like an Omni-movie ride at the UK Pavilion in Epcot that hasn't been updated since the late 80s, that would be the ride at Madame Tussauds. And anyway, that's the cluster of Merlin attractions here on the South Bank. If you got any questions about them, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. If not, I'll ask one of my English friends, and I'll get back to you. But anyway, signing off here from merry old England. We've got to go do some sightseeing on the other side of the river, because we've been talking about silly tourist attractions for too long, and now Molly has to get her culture in. See you guys.